not to Mike Booker. That's to Mike Booker. All right. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Mr. Booker here for ELA today. Today we're going to go ahead and start a new lesson. It is Unit 8A, Subunit 2, Lesson 3. It is all about showing emotion. Again, this piggybacks on the last one that we did where we kind of talked about expanding and using vivid details. Vivid details help convey emotion. That's the whole point of it. And I think this lesson has some really cool examples of that we're going to talk over. First thing I want to remind you about, make sure you're doing your vocab. Spend 5, 10, 15, whatever number of minutes you want to spend, but at least spend some time in this and learn some new words. I assure you it's going to serve you well. I'm not going to go over spotlights simply because, again, we don't have the ability to meet in person, and I don't want to go over who's writing. I don't know you guys well enough yet to know who's willing to share that information. So what we're going to do is go directly to slide number 3. Here what we're going to do, guys, is take a look at that same painting that we looked at a couple of times already. And what we're trying to figure out is the tone of the painting. Does it look like it's fun? Does it look happy? Does it look kind of like silly? Does it look scary? There's a lot of things going on in that, and that's what we're trying to figure out. And so what we want to do is go over the whole thing and pick a spot that you think kind of gives you the clearest tone. Because I will argue there's not a real clear tone, right? This part right here, where we've got the guy who's being stretched out on the beam, I don't know what's going on there. And that doesn't give me a feeling of particularly happiness and joy and fun. However, these boys right here that are doing like a little upside downness on the hitching post for horses, that is very clear to me that these guys are having fun and joking around and playing around. And there's a lot in this painting, again, and we've talked about that. But let's talk about these two guys right here. And I'm going to zoom in on that bit so that we can really discuss it. What I would want you guys to do is to find a spot in this that you like the best, okay? The spot that you think conveys the most emotion, wherever that happens to be. For me, again, it is this part right here. Really, really speaks to me about, hey, look, these guys are just horsing around having fun. And I would say something along the lines of, let's use friends from my era. We'll say Ed, because he was fantastic, and then we'll say Dave, because those are two of my oldest friends. Ed and Dave suspended themselves from the hitching post, laughing and joking, trying to see who could get their head closest to the ground without getting it dirty. Ed was doing better, but his bag was dragging on the ground, and he didn't realize that yet. And so Dave was looking back at him and laughing and joking around that he was going to end up pulling his own bag off or having something fall out of it. Those are slightly vivid details, and this is all just right off the top of my head. What we want you guys to be able to do is the same thing in your own writing, to remember a really specific moment, specific emotions that were taking place, how you felt, why you felt the way that you did, what was going on, what was your mindset going into it. If you came into this scene and it was maybe a bad day for you, you might take this action very differently than if you came into it and it was like the first day of summer and you're like, woohoo, we all get to hang out, we all get to do fun, silly stuff, because at that point your mind is very different, right? And so that's what we want to talk about whenever we're reading something, is trying to figure out what is the tone of the thing. So here, the next section we've got is a little bit of reading to do. And this is written very differently, these two things. Okay, so I'm going to read it aloud here. Another drop of water drips off my paddle and slips down my shirt. I yell and put my elbow in the water. The oar stops moving through the water and hits the side of the boat. Then my paddle hits Malcolm's and sends more water into my mouth. What a day, I say to Malcolm. So what are your thoughts on that, guys? Think about it for a minute. Does that sound like a happy moment? Does it sound like he loves canoeing? If so, select poll 1. If he does not enjoy canoeing, if you think this is a bad day, then you'd want to select option 2. The narrator does not enjoy canoeing. The third option is we can't tell. Now, that depends a lot on how the person reads it, right? I read it sort of monotonously. So if you read it angrily, you're going to have a preference there. But hey, that's up to you. That's fine. What you want to do here is copy and paste what details gave it away. What made you think, yeah, look, this line right here, this is what I knew what the guy was talking about. Okay. And so if you can't If you can't tell, that's fine. Say, look, the way that it's written, the punctuation, I just really can't see. This is, again, a subjective thing, but I want you to be sort of honest. I want you to at least try to deduce which one it happens to be, okay? So go ahead and fill out this one, and then we're going to go to the second slide. The second slide is the exact same story written very differently, okay? And I'm going to read this one aloud as well. Another drop of cool lake water flings off my paddles and slips casually down my shirt. I grin, dangling my elbow into the water. The smooth blade stops gliding through the still lake and knocks gently against the side of the boat. I laugh loudly as my paddle collides with Malcolm's and sends a spray of clear water into my mouth. What a day, I shout over the sparkling blue. That one, you should be able to tell the tone, right? There's some very specific words that he uses. There's some very specific punctuation in it that kind of conveys a feeling, an emotion, a happiness, I would argue. In this one here, I think it's very obvious that he loves to canoe. And then you're basically doing the same thing. Down here, pick the details that sort of gave that away to you. For me, what a day, exclamation point. I shout over the sparkling blue. That part there really makes it sound to me like, what a day, like this is awesome, you know, and in my own life, there's these activities that I really enjoy doing, right? I love to go to the lake. My wife and I have jet skis, and my mom and stepdad have got a pontoon boat. And so this last summer, we went out there quite a few times, actually. And I just remember like those specific, exciting images in my head where we're all sitting on the boat, and you can just watch the waves kind of bouncing everything about. The jet skis are sitting over there, and some friends came up with us lots of times, and they would go ride the jet ski, and you would just see as people come back in on it, and they go to, you know, park it at this little anchor spot and everything, the happiness, the joy, the excitement, right? Because it's just this really fun thing, and I loved seeing the expressions on my friends' faces, especially. There's another couple that we went with, and they've got kids that are honestly about your guys' age, and when they would go out and ride the jet skis and just come back just pumped up and excited, like, wow, that was so much fun, you know? That was a fantastic time for me. So that's how you convey emotion. You want to use punctuation, specific word choices, and I want you to figure out in here which ones do it for you, okay? The I grin, that's a dead giveaway, right? I grin, you don't grin unless you're happy about something, right? That's the whole point of it. So finish that, and then you want to hit hand in, and then we're going to go to number 5. I just want to talk about 5. Unfortunately, since we're not in the classroom, we can't do this. I want you to think through what you would do for your own writing, okay? The point here was for you to make a skit out of somebody in your group's great memory, right? Like I just did with that one. When you saw me kind of acting out the way that I was interacting with my friends and their kids coming back and how happy they were, that's really showing emotion, and that's what we want to do. That's really what pulls somebody into a story. And we don't get to do that, unfortunately, because we're not here. So do the best and think through your own, right? Make up a little skit in your head. If you want to write it in, great. I'm not going to grade this part, but it is good practice for you. I want you guys to really know how to use the emotion, how to convey these specific details. So give it a shot if you can. I understand that's a little hard to do. In an ideal world, we would come up front of the class, we would perform these goofy skits, and it's a lot of fun. We all laugh at each other. But that's life. Here's the assignment for today. Here's the thing that's going to be graded. On number 8, the solo activity, you've got this little snippet of text, okay? I'm going to read the text real fast. You can, of course, also read it out yourself, and sometimes you can actually hit play and these things will play. I do not see that option here. I'm going to read it. We got out of school early today, so James and I went over to the deli to get sandwiches. I got a large meatball with cheese. Then we played mini golf until the guy working there said we were too loud and told us we had to leave. When I got home, I saw that my math homework wasn't in my folder, so my dad made me go all the way back to school. It was kind of embarrassing to ask my teacher for it. They want you to pick any of these moments. Which moments? Okay, there's a lot of moments here. James and I went to the deli to get sandwiches. That's the first one, right? We went there, we got sandwiches. I got a large meatball with cheese. That's another moment. The going there is the walking and talking and joking around to go get to the deli. The second thing is the actual ordering of the sandwich. I watched the guy make it. It was exactly the toppings that I wanted on it. I love a meatball and cheese sandwich. I also get it with green peppers and onions. I just like those things. Maybe you do too. Then we played mini golf until the guy working there said we were too loud and told us to leave. That's a fun moment to write about right there, because I'm one of those people, man. I'm loud. I get told to be quiet all the time. You guys are probably thinking that right now. When I go out somewhere, it is not an uncommon event. Be like, hey, take it down. You're a lot, right? So maybe that's the moment you want to write about. When I got home, I saw that my math homework wasn't in my folder. That's another moment. That realization, that coming back home, be like, oh man, that sucks. I didn't get my homework. I got to get it done. You kind of have that moment of reckoning, right? Where you know that you've got to go deal with something inconvenient. That's what that bit is. So my dad made me go all the way back to school. So now you've got that impending doom moment where you're walking back to school, or maybe he's giving you a ride, and you're sort of like contemplating facing the music. That's another one. The next one here, it was kind of embarrassing to ask my teacher for it. Another moment, right? You got to walk back into class and say, hey, I know we got off early today, forgot my math homework. Do you mind help me out and giving it to me again, right? You have to have that kind of, nervous moment where you got to go and ask a teacher for help. Sometimes that can be a pain in the neck. Depends on the teacher. So that's it. All you need to do is pick one of these moments and write a few sentences about it, okay? I'd like to see about 75 words on this deal. A little more, a little less isn't an issue. I don't want 200 and I don't want 9, okay? I want a few sentences that really describe it. Use vivid details. Show me how you felt. Okay, if the moment you chose is getting thrown out of the mini golf place, it was mini golf, wasn't it? Yeah, that's a great moment to choose, right? I would talk about how much fun I had to get thrown out, because I'm aware that I'm loud, I'm aware that I'm boisterous, but a lot of times you can kind of set the tone for everybody else, and to me that's fun, to just be that one guy is just having a ball and everybody else is like, man, we should do that, we should have fun like that. And so maybe that's the moment you want to write about. So that's what I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching my videos. A lot of you guys are turning in some really good quality work. I've read some really smart things so far. I hope that you're finding this helpful. I hope that you're learning a lot. And I will see you guys again for the next video. Thanks so much.